Welcome to Boundary Systems Wednesday webinar. My name is Michael Wimberly, and we'll be addressing what's new in Windchill 12.0. So, of course, the overall agenda is the introduction, of course, to Boundary Systems and myself, a topic overview, and then a demonstration of some of the functionality in 12.0, Windchill 12.0. All right, so the first thing is, of course, I am Michael Wimberly. I am a solutions architect here at Boundary Systems. I've been working with PTC products for over 25 years. I have over 20 years of experience in training PTC products. Of course, with that, I am a certified trainer in Creo and Windchill classes and a certified Windchill implementation specialist. Boundary Systems as a whole, we are a technology leader. We have partners including PTC, of course, Solid Thinking, eTraj, Autodesk, and other technology companies. We have been the 16th fastest growing company in the greater Cleveland area. We are now also a part of PDSVISION Group and their global companies. What that does for us is, of course, it expands our footprint and our capabilities to not just being in the US, but of course now globally now, because we have partnerships around the world that we can use, and they have a partnership here that they can use as well. Our overall capabilities, of course, product lifecycle management, data management, CAD design and consulting, simulation, as well as product development. Our overall mission at Boundary Systems, it basically is 4 key areas. One is to have the most technical expertise on PTC products. What that means is that we don't have an individual that knows everything. We have individuals that are subject matter experts in different areas of PTC products. So when there is someone who needs something for Windchill, for a specific area in Creo, FEA, piping, basic modeling, drawing, whatever it may be, we have people in those areas that have those expertise. What that helps us to do, it helps us to understand the needs of our customers. So by having expertise, that means we've done it before, we've dealt with it before. So when we're talking to our customers, we can go through and specify or understand better what they need. So instead of recommending a piece of software that they don't need, we can understand that they only need this piece, or they do need to expand their footprint into a different piece of software. With that, we also guarantee the success of every solution that we recommend. So whenever we go through and we talk to you all and we have our presentations and we have our discussions and we recommend something specifically, we stand behind what we give you. Once again, we're not looking to just give you information to just get a PO from you. We're looking specifically to help you improve, which is the last bullet item, which is to help you decrease costs, decrease time to market, and of course, increase your overall quality. So we're making sure that what we give you, we know about, we understand what you need, we guarantee that it's going to work so that your overall profit margin is better, your time to market is better, the way you do things is better than when we initially started working with you. What we have here are just some of the companies that we actually do work with. That we are affiliated with. Of course, PTC and their entire suite of softwares, Tecton, Modex 3D, Xformation, eTraj, ITI. Of course, for 2D, we have CWCAD, Keyshot, Sigmaxim. So we have quite a few additional partners that we work with, work with their software, we work them directly with their software or their applications that they develop. If you have any questions on any of those, feel free to contact us for any of that information. All right, contact information for me, Michael Wimberly. You can reach me by email at mwimberly@boundarysys.com. For any technical questions that you may have, like I said, if I don't have the answer, then there's someone inside of our company that will have the answer for you. That's, once again, one of our benefits. Sales questions, you can email sales@boundarysys.com. Definitely visit our website, boundarysys.com. There you can see what we do. You can see the additional pieces of software. You can see any current deals that are going on. Of course, our training. Once the pandemic is over, we'll start having hands-on workshops and things like that again. Right now, we are doing online training, and as things clear up, we may start to offer. We will offer again on-site training, things like that. And of course, we will go through. You can always go to our YouTube channel, and in our YouTube channel, you will find this video later on and any other webinars that we've conducted over the last few years. So there's quite a bit of data in there, a lot of useful information of the different pieces of software that PTC offers or that we actually support. All right, so the first thing with the Windchill 12 enhancements. Now, this isn't everything. As I got into breaking down or trying to find the information to talk about with Windchill, there's a lot. There's a lot of information depending on the different areas that you're interested in. So I'm touching a few areas inside of here. I'm not touching everything. We will end up having to have a part B for this, maybe a part C, or just digging deeper into some of the applications. With that being said, there is an area in your webinar for you to ask questions. You can go through and ask questions throughout the presentation. I will probably answer those towards the end, but I also would like for you at the end of this, if there's an area that we didn't cover that you're interested in, let us know. If there's an area that you want us to go a little bit more deeper into, maybe do a webinar on it specifically, let us know that information as well. A lot of our webinars that we do are, of course, based on what we want, but it's also based on information that we get from our customers. So definitely feel free to comment on any of this information and let us know the additional topics that you may want to cover as well. All right, so one of the first things inside of here, general update notes, is Windchill is not only certified for Oracle, Java now, since Oracle has purchased Java, it's also certified on Amazon Corretto, OpenJDK 11 as well. There's also I think with the Oracle now having Java, there's a price point there as well. And the Amazon, you can still go in and use that without a price point. Windows Server 2012 R2 is no longer supported. Red Hat, Enterprise Linux 6 is no longer supported. You also have Microsoft SQL Server 2014 is not supported, but there is added support for 2019. Excuse me. Pro Intralink, it has been discontinued. Anyone that is currently on Pro Intralink should have received a notice from PTC that moving forward, Pro Intralink is completely discontinued. So there is no downloadable medium or anything or installable medium for Pro Intralink anymore. Also, when you're dealing with some of the customized reports, they've also now incorporated Jasper Reports Library that will replace Cognos. Cognos is still used in certain areas inside of Windchill, but in quality reports, change summary reports, and even BOM reports, and that's actually in 12.0.1, they're going to be using Jasper reports. If you're currently using Cognos, there is the ability to go in and transition over into Jasper reports. There's additional information on that or for that online as well. All right, then we also talk about the product digital thread, which is basically the footprint of everything that you're using inside of Windchill. That's basically managed and orchestrated by your PLM system, which is Windchill. If you look at all of these different areas, you have for service, of course, you have Servigistics, which is the service reporting. Of course, Windchill. When you get into customer operations, you have ThingWorks and Vuforia and even Arbortext. Then, of course, for manufacturing, for sales and marketing, and then for engineering. All those things, all those different elements are all managed within your PLM system, which of course, that being Windchill. To also help those things communicate with each other, you have the extended PLM linking and tracing. Now, this has been available. This is what used to be the integrity applications, but now they've been relabeled as Windchill RVNS and then the Windchill Modeler. Once again, so each one of these pieces, the RVNS and the Modeler, each one of those can touch different elements, but then of course merge or translate the data back and forth between the different applications. So we're sharing the information between the different applications through those, the VRNS as well as the Modeler. But also with that, you also have the Open Services Lifecycle Collaboration Database that actually links all this together as well. So the OSLC will also go through and incorporate with this data as well. Once again, this is another area that we can get into a little bit deeper later on, but this is just, once again, kind of a higher level view of it at the moment. We also have Workgroup Manager updates. Some of the things to keep in mind, it has not currently been released, but it's in, I guess, in evaluation for CADS 5, for Creo schematics, as well as the CATIA 3D experience. Also, they've dropped support as far as the Workgroup Manager for versions that the vendor no longer supports, such as SolidWorks 1718, AutoCAD and Inventor 2018, NX 11 and 12, MathCAD 15, Prime, MathCAD Prime 5, and I forgot what the other one, there's another one as well. So basically, the Workgroup Manager is updating with the vendor software applications as well. So when they drop support of an application, so does PTC. Also, Chromium browser update. So the embedded Chromium browser has been updated to the latest to the version 76. And then also JavaScripts. If you use the UWGM _client JavaScript or the WGM logger JavaScript, those have been removed. So what you will need to do is basically transfer any applications, any startups, anything that you had associated with those need to be reconfigured because moving forward, those will not be available. Also, with the Workgroup Manager, this happens in different applications, specifically like SolidWorks. There's now an implicit workspace refresh, even when a Windchill action fails. On the left side, what we're looking at is just simply a workspace, and what happens is maybe you do a check-in or you try to do some type of a Windchill action on an item in your workspace. In previous versions of the Workgroup Manager, if it failed, your workspace never refreshed, which means you didn't see the latest and greatest information associated with that item or any other items that may be in your workspace. Moving forward into 12, that application now, no matter what happens, it will automatically refresh your workspace. So even if the action that you're doing does not actually succeed, it will still refresh your workspace, so you will get an updated status of the items inside of your workspace, so you know that you're not working with old files or something that's out of date, or even something that someone else may have checked out. All right. Also, inside of SolidWorks, on the right side, there is a Windchill Status pane. That pane initially was very limited. There was only, I think, 4 or 5, maybe 4 columns that you can go through and add. To that, what that Windchill Status did was it actually allowed you to see the status of the items in your in your SolidWorks session, how it's related to the data, of course, inside of actual Windchill, whether or not it's checked out, whether or not checked out by you, checked out by somebody else, associated with a project, all those different things. So you can go in and see the statuses there but once again, you were limited as to what the column displays could be. Now that has been updated, where you can go in and add additional columns. So you're not locked down to the out of the box columns that they give you. You can go through and edit the WGM client INI file. And inside of there, you can go through and add the additional columns that you want to go through and show. Oops, sorry. Also, the derived, your derived configurations, basically Windchill's equivalent to family tables. Those things can now be managed as instances inside of Windchill as well. So inside of your configuration Windchill parameter, there is an option for PTC is instance. So basically, there is a column when you're going in and creating your derived configuration where you can go through and specify whether or not it's an actual instance. If it is an instance, then the now item will be managed as an instance inside of Windchill. So you will see it in Windchill as though it was an instance like you do inside of for Creo family tables. So you can go through and specify through that parameter value that yes, it is an instance, and I do want to manage it inside of Windchill. So that's also available there as well. All right, then we have augmented reality. With that, we can go through and specify the information not only inside of Creo, but it can also be sent from inside of Windchill. So inside of Windchill, when we go in and have our published image, we can actually come into our actual actions for that item and actually tell it to go through and publish. You can see at the very bottom, publish AR experience. It will then bring up a secondary window where you can go through and specify where the bottom of it is. So you can go through and make sure that when it does go through and publish that AR for you, it's in the proper orientation. And once again, your floor is at the right location for that particular item. So you can publish it. When you publish it, it then will allow you to go through in this secondary dialog box. It will go through and allow you to open up your actual design share portal. So where your actual AR experiences are located, you can actually go through and open that up. Not only can you do it from there, but it's also available in your quick links as well. So down there, you can see towards the bottom, there's a My AR Experiences. When you go through and select that, it will then once again take you to all of your AR experiences. And then from there, you can go through and see what's there, remove some if you've reached your max, if you're using all the free ones, or even if you're not, if you've still met your max, you can go through and still see those items there. It will, of course, if you work with this, it will go through and still have you log in using your PTC credentials. So we'll go through and use that to go through and publish it, as well as allow you access to it. Now, also, when you're going in and publishing them, there is a maximum size. The maximum size is 150 megabytes for your PBZ file. Now, it did check it before, but it didn't check it until towards the end. What it does now is it now evaluates the size of the file before it even tries to send it. So before it even goes in and tries to make that experience for you, it will evaluate the file and let you know that the file is too big versus it going in and trying to create it, and then towards the end of the process or at the end of the process telling you, hey, your file was too big. So it gives you that right up front so you don't have to wait and have it tell you that it failed anyway. All right, now, additionally, inside of Windchill, one of the enhancements that you can also do is with revisions. How to go through and revise, when to go through and revise. There is now a new profile action that is called Revise Outside Change Task. What that does, it allows you to go in and limit where a revision can happen. So I can go through and specify that I don't want it to happen outside of a change task. So it's not available to me. It will only be available in the actual change process. So when I'm inside of the change notice and I'm specifying the change task information or the files inside of the change notice for that, there is a revise inside of there. So I can limit it so that's the only place that I can go through and revise. You can also see that I can be specific as far as the product or the library that it's also associated with, as well as roles. So we can still go through and associate that with roles as well. So not only can we go through and specify whether or not it's available, we can also go through and specify whether or not it's seen. So we can go through and specify that, yes, revise can be shown, but it's disabled. Or we can come over and basically remove it from the display. Inside of the product structure browser area, the revise itself cannot be removed currently, so it will be disabled. So it will be shown, but it will not be able to be selected. From our actions pull-down menu, we can actually go through and hide that. So we can remove that from actually being displayed. And even if the permission is there, if the policy administrator says it's available, we can still remove it so it's not actually seen by the people in specific roles that we can go through and set up. Which basically means the only place, if we go through and basically say it's not available in any other location, we can make it so it's only available when we're inside of our change notice, establishing our change task information. So when we go into here and we'll revise, it's now going to take the items up here from the affected objects and actually go through and add the revision to the resulting objects. So it also will allow us to go through and hide, revise, and check out from inside of Creo. So that won't be an option inside of there either. So we can go in and limit where the revision can happen by going in and specifying the action of revise outside of change task. And if it's available, we can do that, or we can go through, and if it is available, we can still hide or disable the ability to actually access it from inside of Windchill or even with inside of Creo. All right, some additional enhancements with this, with 12 is there is now Office 360 online integration support for Word and Excel. So they have added that. So if you use desktop integration, there's still integration, of course, when you download the actual software, Word, Excel, PowerPoint to your hard drive. So you actually have a local copy of it. Of course, it's still supported there, but it also goes in and supports Word and Excel online as well. All right. Also, the product structure browser is also updated its interface. So now we can also see right next to where the find structure is, we can actually see the current filters. So we can see that it's the latest, is using design, and it's basically at the working state or at the working level. So we can see all that information right here. And then we have the additional filters. So if we have a spatial filter, if we have effectivity, all those items are also available for us to go in and manipulate. So we can still go in, the menu is still available for us to go through and edit the actual display in the ribbon area, but it also added quick access to them inside of the toolbar as well. Also with the, changes tab, so we're actually going in and looking at the changes, instead of going in and having multiple sections as far as the associated objects, everything will now be in a single tab when we're going to the changes. So whether it be a variance report, whether it be a change request, change notice, all those different items that we can go through and create, those will all be in a single table display now for us to go through and view. All right. One of the things that's also that you will see as you start to work, especially when you have large workspaces, is the workspace save has improved. The improvement is that basically a lot of this save working is done in the background. So what you're going to see when you're now saving is you're going to see your Creo session is going to pause while it goes and it saves from your Creo session to your workspace. If you're doing a save and upload or you're doing a complete check-in, your Creo session will only stop working while it's going from your Creo session to the workspace. Once it's in the workspace and now it's beginning to work to upload the information into Windchill or check in the information into Windchill, your Creo session will now become available. So all of the interaction between Windchill happens in the background. So what we're looking at is this chart down here at the bottom on the left side. The blue shows the initial CAD application lockout. So while it was saving and while it was uploading, you couldn't do anything in Creo. If you had, of course, small number of items in your workspace, then it wasn't that long anyway. But as you get into the thousands and tens of thousands of items that you may have in your workspace, then that goes in and starts taking up quite a bit of time, which means you're locked out of your application for however long it takes to go and upload that. And of course, the speed is always based on your internet connection or the traffic going in and out of or through the internet. So you can see that, yes, it goes in and locks up, but now it's only going to go in and stop the application from working long enough to save to the workspace, and then we can still work. It's still working in the background, so the save itself is not any faster. It's just that it releases its hold on Creo faster. So it's still going in, it's still doing the upload, it's still doing everything, but now it's doing it in the background so I can continue to work on my file. And what you see in the chart on the right side, it just talks about the increased amount of time. So the blue graph shows the amount of time it takes that it will basically lock up your system based on the number of components in your workspace. So these, of course, on the left side are just seconds, it's not minutes. So it's just seconds. Of course, the fewer number of items you have, the less time it takes. But as you begin to increase the amount of time or amount of items in your workspace, the longer it will take to go through and get your session back. Down at the bottom, it shows the same thing, but now you can see how much faster it goes in and releases your Creo session for you to work on. So as I said, it's still working in the background. It just releases its hold on your application, on your CAD application, while it's doing all the Windchill stuff in the back. Right. Another thing is, from a user standpoint, we've gone through, and of course, unfortunately, we've revised items individually. So I've gone through and I may have been in a CAD file and I revised my CAD file, but I didn't revise the WT part file. So what do? I now come back and I revise my WT part file. But in revising my WT part file, they don't necessarily immediately connect. They don't connect, I should say, latest to latest. Because I didn't revise the WT part when I revised the CAD file, then now they're looking at two different versions. So that's what we're looking at down here in the middle is the widget part is at B1 because we revised it individually, and then we went in and revised the WT part file also to B1, but in that revising, it's still connected to the A11 CAD file. What we really want to happen is we want it to be able to go in and take this B1 and reassociate B1 WT part to B1 CAD file. That is now available for us to do when we can go through and edit the associations inside the parts. So we can now go through and update that so that now looking at the latest and greatest version of those files versus the old versions of those files. And that is done through edit association. So instead of having to delete it and then reassociate it, which I'm sure we've done, or I should say disconnect it and then reassociate it, I'm sure we've done that in the past. We can go in and do it right up front. sorry, we can do it without having to remove the relationship. All right, at this point, I will go into a demonstration. Let's see, there's a couple of questions. Is this relevant only to Creo or does it work with other Creo applications? I'm not sure. So that was from Robert, I'm not sure when you actually asked your question. So I'm not sure which element you're referring to. Can you tell me which of the items that we just talked about you were talking about? Oh, for the CAD downtime. No, that should be for all applications. So the same thing with SolidWorks, if you're using a Workgroup Manager, when it goes to start communicating from your workspace to the database, once you do that initial save, it should still free up the application and you should still be able to go through and work in that application while the Windchill stuff is happening in the background. So, all right. Let's go in now. And there's just a few things I'm going to show because some of the items go into a little bit more depth than what I have available. But one of the first things is we're inside of Windchill, of course. This is Windchill 12. It still will look very similar to 11, 11.2, so on and so forth. But once again, one of the things that we see down here is the actual display of the filters. So we still see that information. It's still here. So we can still go to edit filters and we can still go through and change that information here. We also have the ability to go through and manipulate it here. I can select that, change it from latest to whatever I want. I have design. So from design, if I'm looking at my design BOM, maybe I want to change it to the manufacturing BOM, I can do that here. Or I can also go through and change the working area, which is basically referring to the details as far as the current working session, or working items, I should say, sorry. All right, so that's there. We can still manipulate the information here. We can also go into related objects, and under related objects, we can see there's our CAD files, there's all the latest and greatest, there's the information for the item here. Now, there is something that is also additional that has been added. If I come over here and I do a save as, and I'm taking this top level assembly. All right. So in this top level assembly, and actually I'm going to change this. I want to do it for the CAD file. So I'm going to do there first. And now do my save as. Still doesn't show everything. All right. So inside of my save as, I can go through and collect information. But as we know, depending on the applications that you use, there's always a lot of additional information inside of here that you may or may not ever use. One of the things that we can also do now is we can customize what information is being shown in this ribbon. Over here on the right side, there's a customized dropdown, and it shows all of the different items that are currently inside of that toolbar. So with that, I can go in and just start from scratch and say remove everything, and then come over and select the items that I want to go through and show. So if I don't use notes or ECAD, any specific specified, remember upstream, downstream, I do want to go in and add the remove and exclude, include, set name, renew, reuse, locations, but I don't set views, I don't do any of that information. I don't have to go in and add that. So now I can go through and filter this down so that only the elements that I actually use will actually be displayed in this ribbon. Now, I can set this up for me individually. It can also be set by an administrator, and I can go in and set my own if I want to override what the administrator has, or maybe they don't have the stuff that I want, I can go through and change that as well. So I can do it for the save as. I also think it's in there for the rename. No, it's not for the rename. It's the save as and the is it revise? Yep. Under revise, it also shows. Now you can see under revise, it has a bunch of additional collection items. So if you've done some of the custom configurations as far as how things are related to each other, then those items will be available here. So we can collect those based on our user-defined relationships that we've set up. If not, once again, we can come over to customize and say we don't want to see these things. So just remove them from our display because those aren't items that we actually ever use. And then we can start with our regular ones and remove or add what we want to go and remove or add. So we can go through and customize that. Now, as you can see, it's not available in every area just yet, but it is available in some of the key areas, such as when I'm trying to duplicate something, such as the save as, or when I'm going in and trying to revise items so I can keep everything synchronized as far as the revision levels. I can go through and collect that additional or customize that display as well. So it's not everywhere yet, but it's, once again, continuing to be implemented as the different builds continue. Also, I am actually going to pull up Creo for this one. One of the other things, and I have to switch screens real quick. One of the other things that is also available or that is managed now in Creo 7 with the creation or the addition of the functionality of be able to create a multi-body item. That information can actually now be managed appropriately inside of Windchill. So I'm going to go through and create a single body right now, and I'm going to end up splitting it. So I'm going to just simply create a simple extrusion. I'm going to go both directions. Let me just make this one 50, make this one 5. And there it is, simple part. And now what I want to do is I want to take this item and I want to go through and split it. So a lot of times when you have molds and you're trying to create both halves of them, we've had to go through in the past and kind of create two separate parts and then manage them independently. We can now go through and still create that and create that split body as well. So I'm going to go through and split this. What I'm going to split is this, and I'm going to split it by that top datum plane that I just created. And there we have it. So now you can see there is a seam in there for the two different bodies. So those that aren't familiar with that, we actually did cover that in a Creo 7 update webinar. So you can go to our website and search for that one. It does go in and cover the actual split body functionality. But as we go through and create now, we can go through and create the data or create additional features. And when we're going in and specifying it, we can go through and specify which body it goes through and actually uses. So right now it's just using the top body. I can go through and change it so that's actually using the lower. Or I can go through and tell it to go through all of it. So once again, that's just something we can go through and create at this point. They are separate bodies, but when we go through and save, it is saved as an individual item. One of the things that we can go through and specify is we can go through and take the individual bodies. Sorry. Oh, there it is. Yep, underneath designate. And what I can do is I can change this from designating parameters to actually designating bodies. So I'm going to pick both half of those. And then I can go through and specify the extensions that both of these are .prts. There's a designated names. So I can call this body underscore top. I can call this body underscore bottom. And then say, okay. So by that being designated, when I go through and save, it's still going to save those. Now, when I go to my workspace, and there's that new part, I'm going to go ahead and check this file in. Check it in. I'm going to go to next. And what I'm going to have it do is I'm going to go in and have it auto associate parts. When I go in and select finish on that, it's going to go through and create the information. Everything is checked in. When I go to my workspace, where'd it go? Yep, you can see that it not only created a file or a WT part for the actual CAD file, which is the 004, it also created a WT part for each of the bodies. So if those are things that we do want to incorporate in our BOMs, they're there. So it does go in and allow us to designate each half of that split body as a designated item, and by it being designated, it can go in and create an actual WT part that we can now use in our structures. The other thing that we will see is when I am looking at that individual item and I go to my structure, it will go in and show the structure and having those two bodies underneath it. So it does give us the top level WT part, but underneath there are the two designated bodies that we've gone through and created. And of course, for the related objects, it's still going to be that CAD file for that particular related object. And if we also go into this, the related object for the body part is also going to be the CAD file. So it's not looking at the halves of the CAD file individually. Those WT parts are related to that CAD file. They're just associated with the top and the bottom half of those designated bodies. All right. The other thing, once again, when we're going in, and I will conclude, is that we're going in and we're looking at our files. As I mentioned before, I'm going to come over here to this piston. I'm going to go into the information for that one. So inside of here, I can come over and there's my published AR experience. So it's basically telling me, it's going to go in and transfer data because this is going to be created and stored, of course, on the PTC's cloud. So when you're doing that, it's just basically validated that, yes, you're okay with that. The PTC is going to be hosting that data that you're going to go through and use. And it's going to allow you to, or it's going to tell you to log in. So we're going to associate it with your account. It's taking a few seconds, not sure why. In the meantime, there is a question. Can designated bodies use an existing Windchill part where it specifies variable attribute data such as quantity or volume? For instance, capturing a volume of a very expensive adhesive or resin. I am not 100% sure on that. That is something that I can look into and get back with you on that. Yeah, I'm not sure if it can, only because the bodies themselves exist within that CAD file. And I don't know of any way of specifically referencing a WT part internally to the CAD file. It creates it because of the designation. I'm not sure if I can go the other way. Yeah, I'll look into that for you to see if that can be done. All right, so real quickly, so here's the information, as I said before, it's giving us the floor placement where we can go through and specify where it's located, the quality of the actual item, and of course, if we have multiple locations to go through and publish it to, we would go in and select from there, and I can go in and simply tell it to go and publish. And then it says open the design shared portal to my AR experiences. At that point, it's going to go through and now open up AR. I think this is on a different window. Okay, not sure why it didn't pop up, but there's my AR experiences there. And because I've already logged in, there are the experiences. So if I want to go in and take the one that I just created and now send that to somebody or send it to myself, I can do that as well. So, or if I want to go through and clean this up, I can go through and delete these out of here. So there's another question that came through. Is there anything new with SAP integration? There are some things going on. I'll have to go back through my my notes. I'm not exactly sure what some of the updates are, but I've seen some things updated, but I can't tell you exactly what the things are at the moment. So I will have to go through and look up that. As I mentioned before, there's tons of stuff inside of there. That's why we're going to have to do at least a part B to Windchill upgrades. I didn't want to do a bunch of just PowerPoint, so I did want to show some of the functionality inside of Windchill. But I will look that up for you. All right, so at this point, that will conclude the presentations. Any additional questions? As I mentioned before, feel free in the questioning area to go through and ask any questions about any additional applications that you may have heard about that I didn't show, such as the SAP, or anything that you want more information about that we have covered. So definitely feel free to go through and give any suggestions or anything like that. It would, of course, help us to cater it to the needs of the viewers and help us to understand what you guys would like to see. So if you have those now, great. If not, you can send them to me. I'll send you my information in just a moment. But don't forget, if you do want to learn more information about Windchill 12, update classes, administration, we still have biz admin classes, system admin classes, workflow classes, all those different things of dealing with Windchill as a whole, or even Creo 7, the update class for Creo 7, or anything special from there. We can definitely, we definitely have classes for those things. We can do them virtually. That's the preferred method currently, is to do things virtually, of course, until COVID is actually under control. So it may be a while. We can do in-center, but once again, that will be agreed upon between us and the vendor or the customer that we're going to see. And of course, we can go on site, which we can come to you guys versus you come to us. Anytime you want to see any of our training information, you can go to support.trainingptc.com. That will take you to our training site, or just go to boundarysys.com and go to our training location. And then we'll go through and actually show you the classes that we offer, when we offer them, and even just a list of classes that are available. So any of that can be done. So if you do have any questions that may come up later on, take down my email if you don't already have it, mwimberly@boundarysys.com. So any information that you have or any questions that you may have, definitely feel free to send those to me. If you have sales specific questions, such as the cost of something, even packaging, how things may be packaged differently in Creo 12, because there are some changes in Creo 12 packaging as well. You can send that to sales@boundarysys.com, or once again, visit our website, boundarysys.com, or for any additional information, go to our YouTube channel for any of our technical YouTube webinars that we may have done in the past. The question, there is an additional question that did come through. It asked about, I mentioned integration with Microsoft Word and other products. Can you explain? Yes, this is an application that is called desktop integration. What that does, it actually allows Windchill to be integrated into Office products. So so when you do store your Word document, your PowerPoint, your Excel files, all that information inside of Windchill, instead of just storing it as a document, downloading it, opening it into Word, and then having to re-upload it, save it back to the hard drive, re-upload it into Windchill, that all can be done directly inside of Word, PowerPoint, Excel, basically Office products. So that is available directly inside of there. It's just simply, it's actually part of Windchill. So if you go to your software downloads, underneath the tasks area, let me see if I can pull that up for you real quick. Yeah, under quick links, there's an area for software downloads. And under software downloads, you will see desktop integration. So that's available there as well. And you can, once again, it'll be integrated with Windchill. Additional question or follow-up question is, can Windchill automatically publish values of these documents, for example, approved by? It can have attributes. So the attributes that we have associated with the different document types can actually be used. I'm not sure if you're referring to pulling directly from the document. There is indexing that may be able to use to be able to go and pull that information. But I'm trying to remember if I can actually pull a value from the document, and I'm not 100% sure that I can, but the attributes that we can associate with that document, of course, can be viewed, because those will be Windchill specific attributes. All right. So once again, if you have any questions, any additional questions when this is over, then you can definitely reach me, mwimberly@boundarysys.com, and we'll get your questions answered. Otherwise, Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attendance. And I hope this was useful to you. And we look forward to the next webinar. Have a great rest of the afternoon.